Hello all, and welcome back to John Bill's Iconic Most. Okay, so in today's video we're going to start the first layers of planking on the port side. As you can see, I've already done the first three layers on the starboard side. So in today's video I'm pretty much going to show you exactly what I did for this procedure. Okay, so in the kit you get this little template, and that's so you can kind of just put a mark on your ribs or your frames to position the first plank. So what you do, you kind of slide this template between the ribs on top of the deck beams we put in before, and then we're just going to take a pencil. But actually, I'm just going to use a little Sharpie just to get a clear pencil line or a marker line. Okay, just going to hold them like that. Just put your finger on the back and then come on from underneath, and then just put line that's indicating on them ribs, and then all you have to do is pretty much do that all the way along. So personally, I don't do it under every one, I do it every other one. It's quite hard to hit the perfect line every one, so I think it's a lot easier to kind of get a nice line every other one, rather than, because you might have one that's slightly half a mil up and then you're trying to bend it, so sometimes it's easier just to form it around every other one. And then for this side, all we're literally doing is working exactly opposite the one we put on the starboard side. Okay, so what you can see is between the false keel and this first frame that we used to form the bow, I'm actually using a little bit of that spacer that I used in the last video. I'm actually just going to fill this little gap just on this one, just so we've got something to actually nail onto right up to the edge, because obviously that false keel is left obviously blank. So yeah, I just wanted a little piece where I can actually nail to, as you can see on this side. Okay, so I've got one of the full lengths that we get with the kit. So what I'm going to do roughly, just to start with, so I'm just going to put it up against where we trimmed off that one. I'm just going to kind of bend it just to where the bend would finish, and that's around about rib number 6. So all I'm going to do is put a little pencil mark on rib number 6. So from where that pencil mark is now, I'm actually just going to soak this in a little bit of water up to the depth of where that pencil mark is. I'm not going to do it in this room, obviously I've got too much electrical equipment in here to have any water, so I'm just going to take it into the bathroom. I'm just going to soak that, and we're back. Okay, so that's been soaking in the sink for about 10 minutes. If you notice, I actually just put something weighty right on that pencil line just to do a little bit of a curve while it's soaking. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to bring it onto the model. I'm just going to use these clamps, so I'm just putting it up right against the planks on the starboard side. So you need a little bit of two hands on this one. Just to clamp that first one in place. So I'm just going to take one more, just going to separate it, I'm just going to push it through the next one. So I was putting a bit of pressure, bending pressure on it myself. Just start to wind it in, wind up the one previously. There's going to be some adjustments. Okay, so before we put any more bends, I'm just going to take these templates that we got right back in pack 1, just to make sure we get the correct spaces as we bend round. Like I said before, nothing's really locked in just quite yet. just going to put another bend on it myself, slowly bringing it in. And as you can see, that's already nicely forming that curve around the bow. So don't worry too much if you're not hitting the pencil marks 100%, because this is all about just getting the curve formed. Okay, I'm going to turn the model onto its side a little bit. Okay, so on the model's on its side now, we can use these clamps and clamp it a little bit more on the pencil line. So we're going to just keep checking that your distance. We're not drilling anything or gluing anything yet. All we're doing is just getting it into the correct position. Okay, so they're all held in position and held on that marker line. So all we're going to do is just kind of let that set in its position for around about 10-15 minutes. So in the instruction it tells you to mark right down the middle of rib number 18, but I'm just going to, instead of right down the middle, I'm just going to go slightly to the right with my mark, so I don't cut mine flush, but I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so pretty much happy with that. We know we've formed that quite nice around the bow. So now we can take these clamps off and cut it to size, and then we can kind of glue it and drill it into place. And that's formed that quite nice around there. Okay, so I've brought my mitre block across. I know I normally use my little mini table saw, but I know a lot of people don't have a table saw, so I'll use a mitre block. So all I'm going to do, put it in the mitre block, and where we've got that pencil line, I'm actually going to put it on the 45 degrees and actually put a 45 degrees angle on this rather than a flush cut. And that's taken that right down the middle of frame number 18. Okay, so this time we're actually going to work back on myself, because I know it's cut and formed to length, so we can actually start in the middle of frame 18 this time. So what I'm going to do is, to start with, I'm just going to put just a little bit of glue just on the edge of that frame, and just do the same on the first 5 frames. So what I'm going to do, because I can get them on, so I can get these in a second on these smaller frames, I'm just going to put one of these quick grips on just to hold it while I fix the clamps into place. Let's check it. Okay, so that pretty much one clamp has got that locked into place, so now I'll move that just a longer touch. They're good for these smaller ones. Once you get to the larger ones, they're not good enough to get in really, they're a bit awkward. That's why I've used the clamps. So we'll go over to frame 13-14, put one between there. Let's check in it's on the line, which it is, and I'm going to just lock that one down. Okay, so I only glued the first couple of frames, so now what we'll do is we'll move along with some glue. Just pull the plank back a touch. And then just keeping in mind that we've not clamped on a little bit out. Put some little bit of glue along the marker line for the next 5. And take one more clamp. Get the spacer in to make sure we're okay before we lock it down. Move along. Once you get the first plank on, all the rest is really easy because you'll pretty much use this plank as a bit of a guide plank, and every plank above it and every plank below it all get butted up to this one. So this is why the most important plank on the ship, I would say. So just keep checking that space before you lock them down. And then just check the line underneath. What you should notice, there is a slight rise, not too much, quite gentle, but just slightly rising up towards the bow. Same again, let's take that template. I want to make sure that this part of this bow is all nice and locked in, because once we get this plank in now, that pretty much this bow will be locked in to its final place. Same again, let's apply some glue to the last couple of ribs. Let me get this one locked in again. Like I say, you have to kind of excuse my hands with this one, it's a little bit all fingers and thumbs on this part. So any adjustments up to the pencil lines. So then again, just have a look, make sure that you're hitting all the lines, and then you've got like a natural curve. You don't want any real wavy lines. You should be able to see it's a naturally flowing plank. Okay, so now I'm going to put the next plank on, going to the stair. So I'm just going to offer it up to start with, and then I'm just going to mark it slightly overlong, just so I'm not having to play about with such a big plank. So as we put like an external 45 degrees on this plank, this time now we're going to put like an internal 45 degrees, so they kind of slide inside each other. So I'm just going to cut it to length first. Okay, so this time put on an internal 45 degrees on. So as you can look, I left the other one finished with the external 45 degrees. Now putting another 45 degrees on, these actually now just, so you bring the next plank along, and actually just slide into each other and give you a really nice tight fit. Yeah, you just get like a nice fit when you do the 45 degrees. You can see them two planks because each frame is slightly different, so they don't join quite as nice. Yeah, so it's a nice easy little trick that just putting the 45 on. Okay, so I've literally got to just glue this and clamp this in place exactly as I did the first plank, holding the planks to the pencil marks that we applied, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I've got the next plank glued on. That's drying. So that's like I said, fitted exactly the same way as I fitted the first plank. So what I'm going to do now is, this is just being held by about 2 planks. Ideally it's only been drying about an hour. Ideally you want to leave it 24 hours for its ultimate strength. But what I like to do so I can kind of carry on and start working above it is, obviously in instructions it tells you to use pins, but obviously I've used pins over the years, but I no longer use that system. So I'm onto a little system now where I just use little pieces of dowel just to drill a hole, put that in, that swells up, and you can kind of carry on. So what I'm going to do is, obviously in the middle of a rib, I've just got a little well, I suppose it's a little pin that's been cut down and just put in the little pin pusher. So all I'm going to do, right in the middle of rib number 4. Like I say, I'm not going for the system where obviously it's going to be varnished, where I'd have 2 dowels in. This is just mainly an alternative to the pins. So I'll just mark that. I'm going to take my little USB drill, and this has got a 1.1mm drill in it, and I'm just going to line that up with that little point that I've just pushed in. And I'm just going to drill that hole. Okay, so I've cut these little dowels at just at 10mm. So all I'm going to do, just slightly chamfer the end so they just slide in nice. Take the little paintbrush, paint a little bit of glue on that, and then we can push it into the hole. As simple as that. Just do one more. So in the middle of frame number 3, just put that in. That just stops the drill from wandering. Little centre hole. Same again. Just take one more of these little dowels. They probably would go in without just slightly chamfering the edges, but just what I prefer. I'll say just a little bit of glue, and then they can be pushed home. So I just prefer this system. Like I say, I've used pins myself over the years, and normally with pins is you have to pull them out after, and then obviously, or you leave them in and file off the head. So I just find this easier. You can drill the hole, push the dowel in, and it's pretty much just left there, and then you just sand off the excess when you're sanding off the hull, and I just prefer it. Okay, so literally all you do now is just repeat the process, going backwards and forwards, doing what I'd do next time is I'd probably do the stern, and then the part to the bow, and then the bow to the middle, and then the middle to the stern, and then just alternate it. But like I say, in the instruction it tells you to pretty much take this all the way up to the top of the the forecastle plank around about 10 layers, I think, but I'm going to leave it at 3 layers this time, because in pack 5 we get some templates for cutting the gun ports, and I just think it's a lot easier to cut the gun ports in the technique that I'm going to show you in the next video, rather than completely planking it and then I'm just trying to cut them out. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you found it useful. Like I say, it's just a different kind of technique. Whatever works for you works for you. I've just shown you obviously what now works for me. In the near future, I will be doing a little video where I actually show you how I make these little custom clamps. But in the meantime, if anybody would like to purchase some, I actually have knocked up a few little packs I'm actually just selling in on eBay or Etsy or something like that. I've done that for a reason, that anything I kind of make just from selling these little clamps all comes back, and it obviously benefits the channel with obviously new camera equipment and new tools I need. So if anybody would like to purchase a few of them, that would be greatly appreciated. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care, everyone.